IVM.
Peace of mind is of utmost importance in today's world. And you know what's a major cause of anxiety for so many people today? It's unpaid bills. Cred has made it all easier, and it even rewards you with some amazing cashbacks. This IPL season, download Cred and pay your bills during the power play, and you could get 100% cashback. Cred, the correct way to pay your bills. Hey everyone, welcome to the Positively Unlimited podcast. In today's episode, I'm going to be asking you some questions. So make sure that you have paper and pen handy because you want to write your answers down and try to understand why you do certain things that you do, or why is it that you make certain decisions and certain choices. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, this series of A to Z is all about work-life balance. The one I did before this was all about finding your life purpose. The one before that was about relationships. And for anyone struggling with the lockdown, well, the series before that, I think around episode 125, was all about the lockdown. Mindsets, perspectives, life hacks, tools, ways to help you get through it. That one was recorded last year, bang in the middle of the lockdown. So, if you're finding this one to be really hard, go back to it. Listen to those episodes. Maybe there's something there that can help you get through. I hope you listened to the last one, which was A for ambition. And I spoke about how so many of us derive our identity from our ambition or by succeeding at it. So today, the word I have chosen carries that thought forward, and it is B for beliefs. So here's my first question to you. What does your work mean to you? For those of you who heard that question and immediately said everything, well, clearly life is terribly imbalanced. Your entire sense of self and identity comes from work and only work, which means you possibly struggled a lot last year, either because of the lockdown and work becoming slow, or then you trying to do everything you can to prove yourself twice as much as you would have otherwise done because of the lockdown. Because you had to stay relevant. You had to be visible. You had to work twice as hard to be visible now that nobody was going to office. If you responded to what does work mean to you with everything, you need to make certain different choices and you need to start changing the way you are looking at your life. My next question is, what are the 3 things a person should do at work or with regards to work? Now, don't be very simplistic and say, oh, a person goes to office and they should check their emails and they should attend meetings or they should do their presentations. I'm not asking about day-to-day routine stuff. But the shoulds that I'm looking for are the ones that will reveal certain beliefs that you have. For example, an employee should not leave before his boss. Is that something you believe in? So think about your beliefs with regards to work when you answer this question. What are the 3 shoulds one must follow at work? And in the same breath, answer the next one too. What are the 3 should nots? Why is this important? Well, there's always 2 sides to the same coin, right? And you've got to understand, what are you overdoing and how or where are you limiting yourself? Okay, here's another question for you today. If you were to live a full life, what would your day look like? And when you answer that question, also answer this. How much of your current life resembles what you have written down? Okay, now try answering this one. What is the role that your work plays in your life? I mean, what does it do for you? Or rather, what is it supposed to do for you? What is the purpose of the work that you do? Now, understand when I say purpose of the work, I'm not asking the choice of career or the industry or the field. Just getting up every day and doing something that brings you name and fame and, it's an ambition that you are fulfilling. Well, what is that particular aspect as a whole supposed to do for you? Is it supposed to make you happy? Is it supposed to fulfill you? Is it supposed to satisfy you? What is it supposed to do for you? And don't just stick with these three words that I have said. Make a list of everything that your work is supposed to give back to you. Whether you have your own business or whether you work for somebody, question is still the same. You wake up in the morning, you go to work, you do your thing, you come back. Well, what did those 8 hours do for you? What did it add to your life? And just as we did before, what is your work taking away from you? Or what is your work preventing you from doing? Don't say I did not warn you right at the beginning of this episode. I told you I was going to ask you some questions. Well, I have lots more to ask, but I'm going to park those aside for some of the other episodes and ask you to look at your answers. And that is why I also told you to do this with pen and paper. Because it's not just about answering these questions as you're listening to me in your head. It's also about looking at what you have written down and answering this question. What have I learned about myself and about how I view my work? Or rather, what have I learned about myself and what are my beliefs about work? Once you answer these questions, you will realize why you make certain choices. For example, that person who refuses to take a holiday. That person who, when told by their friends or family to plan a vacation, throws a whole tantrum about how they cannot leave work and how they're so busy and oh my God, the company will shut down if they take a day off. Well, these questions might give you the answer to why you feel the way you feel and if it is doing you any good. Because a lot of you might realize at the end of this episode and answering all those questions that your work really isn't doing what it's supposed to do for you. And that awareness is going to open the window for change. I often have my clients telling me that I make them think a lot. Well, one of the things that I've learned is that if you don't think hard and if you don't think in an appropriate manner, then you're not going to change and grow and evolve. Then you're going to continue repeating your patterns and possibly continue feeling like a victim or feeling burdened or overwhelmed. If you want to live your potential, you want to live a strong life, you want to live boldly, well, you need to think hard and you need to think a lot and you really need to understand yourself. Introspect and retrospect, two of my favorite words, as well as two of my favorite hobbies. Develop these hobbies the right way and you will know yourself better than anyone else does, and hence you will accomplish and achieve that much more easily than anyone else does, because you will learn to work with yourself and not against yourself. Well, on that note, I'm going to head off from here. All the previous episodes that I mentioned right at the beginning of this particular episode, the ones where I've spoken about life purpose and relationships and even getting through the lockdown, well, they're all available on the IVM website as well as the IVM app. And you can connect with us on Twitter and Instagram. Our handle is IVM Podcasts. As for me, if you would like to connect with me, my handle is Positivity Angel on Instagram. I look forward to your DMs, and I'm off to record another episode just for you.
I hope you enjoyed that show. If you aren't following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We'd like to thank our sponsors on the network this week, Siet Tires and thewholetruthfoods.com. So this week on Advertising is Dead, Varun was joined by Mansi Zaveri. She shares her experience of running a community for parents of young kids and teenagers and of hosting a podcast along the same lines. Gauri Devidayal was joined by Divya Thani on This Round Is On Me. Divya works as a global editorial director with Condé Nast Traveler. They discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly of a travel writer's job. On Candid Kanan, Sid is in conversation with Adarsh Gaurav, who recently scored a BAFTA nomination for his role in the Netflix adaptation of The White Tiger. They talk about his role in the show, life pre- and post-stardom, and so much more. On Agla Station Adulthood, Ritash and Aishi talk about the precious time and opportunities lost to the lockdown and share their post-COVID wish list. When it comes to cricket this season, we have you covered. In English, we have Edges and Sledges, which do their show live on YouTube. They look for announcements over there. And for our Hindi listeners, we have Khel Niti, hosted by Rajiv Mishra and ex-Indian cricketer Sabah Kareem. This show is live streamed on YouTube every day at 9:15. Definitely do check these out and hope to see you again next week.
Namaskar, dear friends. My name is Ashish Vidyarthi. Life, as you know, is a journey. And you and I, travelers, how can we celebrate this travel? I have a podcast for you, Begin the Journey. I share stories and moments from my life. Do tune in every Monday and Thursday to listen to my podcast on the IVM Podcast website, app, or wherever you get your podcast from. Cheers.